Here in Adair Park, Atlanta, Georgia. And today I have a bunch of 3-pound balls of clay prepped, and I'm going to be throwing another series for this dinnerware set that I've been working on. This will be a series of flat open dishes. I just made some bowl plates that kind of curved in, and I want these to be more like open. So I've got my calipers so I can measure, everything is weighed. And I love talking clay. So if you're coming in live, either settle in and keep me running in the background or drop questions in the chat, leave a comment. And I am a former high school ceramics teacher, so I've got lots of instructional videos on my YouTube as well if you are new here. So first I just kind of cone up and down, I'm pushing to center and I'm flattening it out, kind of gauging from this first one. This will be like, you know, they say like the first pancake, like you want to get your bearings going. So after I do this one, this will set the tone for all of the others to come. So I'm compressing it, considering how thick I have made this bottom. And the thickness will also then determine how the width that I'm able to get, because the thinner it goes, the wider. But then the thinner, the less I have to trim a foot later. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I'm kind of gauging the thickness on my base of my finger beside it. And again, the first one will kind of set the tone for all the others to come. Just compressing. Anytime you make the clay go out thin and wide, you want to compress it. So now that it's compressed and pushed out thin and wide, I'm going to go ahead and take my first measurement. And all the others I will open to the same. So I'm going to tighten this up once I get my measurement to hold it in place. Put this close by. Now we'll give it a little bit of a lip. Put a rig tool to compress it actually too. Get right up to that center if you can. And this will just help ensure no cracks later. Don't want it too flat in the center compared to out here, or too low, I should say. And you can almost feel the inconsistency sometimes, so being patient and letting it rotate. That's just what you gotta do. So now my right hand, my right hand's on the outside, digging in at the base of this plate. I'm going to start in the center and make sure that the bottom is kind of the same depth the whole way, and then I'll squeeze on this. Okay, and then we will go ahead and make this wall come up, and this is where squeezing the thickness will give me the wall height that I want and the thinness. And then I will compress one more time, because again it looks a little lower in the center. So I'm going to be really easy as I press right there. Let it rotate, and then as I get out here I'm going to press a little harder just to flatten out here and make it a more smooth transition so it doesn't have too much of a depth going in. Okay, now with this wall, that's kind of what I want, is this up, but I want it to be a little bit more open. So I'm going to take this rib tool and let it transition into that bottom get my other rib, this one on the outside to support, and then this is where patience, and rotate, 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 just let it keep rotating, and eventually this green rib will transition its curve to the curve of that interior base, and then rotate, rotate, slow release. So that's one. I'm gonna leave this dry. Come all the way to the center. And then I will go ahead and give a little slight carve away the bottom, and then I'll take my second measurement. And this is if you're doing sets of something, it's nice to take measurements so that you can recreate the same thing. So this is one. Now we're gonna do about 12 more. Who doesn't want to eat a salad out of that, right? Okay, fresh bat. We are using the black Molly Sandor ceramic speedball bats. They have a series of dots. Can you see this? 3 dots versus this 1 dot. And the dots align with the holes. Our wheels fit the 3 dots. So if I get that on there, you do want this clean and dry. Oh, I see a mosquito. I don't know if I got it. And then we'll do it again. Kind of give that a roll so I have a nice connection point. I'm gonna start with a little downward cone to make sure the clay is stuck on there. I do love to have a loaded up wet sponge in my right hand. And then this left hand is anchored in my hip so that through the forearm, through the meat of the clay is pushing. And then I can kind of cone this up. Make sure all the inconsistencies are worked out. You can feel some inconsistencies, so taking the time to cone up and down kind of helps work those out. Coning up and down is kind of like wedging on the wheel. Prepping the clay, getting all the clay particles consistent. And now I'm going to compress this down, flat and wide. I'll check my first measurements. So a little wider. I'm going to press in the center, pull this clay out wider. Making sure that this right hand is kind of flat and compressing along the top. Then we'll measure one more time. Perfect. So now I'll just compress, compress. Compressing with the rib tool. Compress with my sponge. And then we'll put low pressure at the base to go ahead and pull this wall. And then we'll put the rib on it. Same transition of this green rib into this rib. Anchor my right hand. This one's anchored in my hip. It's holding steady so that this one can kind of press out into the yellow rib. Notice we're slow down. Patience is a virtue. Being patient till that green rib has time to rotate fully and transition right in there. Okay, we'll smooth this. Making sure that the surface area here is consistent as well. Easy there. Compress this lip. Take our measurements. Perfect. A little underscore cut. And plate 2 is done. So far we've got 2 in this series, and I see when I show you that ring in the center, I don't love a ring in the center, so you want to make sure everything's compressed. Another one. So if you've got questions, let me know. But if I am making a set of something, my first trick is to weigh. Make sure that everything starts out the same amount of clay. So these are all 3 pounds. And then it is helpful to use the same size bat just to keep consistency. Anchoring, I'm pressing with this left hand. We don't like this little inconsistency, so that's where a little coning up and down. And I do like holding a sponge in my right hand, starting at the bat. This right hand, the thumb will latch on, so I can kind of, hinge my hands, my fingertips. So my left hand's pushing, my right fingertips are here, my right thumb latches on so that I can kind of hinge my right fingertips, gripping into my left palm. All the way from the bottom, patiently to the top. My left thumb is up, keeping the cone. See, keeping it. And see that twist? We don't like that. We don't like that twist. That twist is an inconsistency that could wreak havoc later. So we just start from the bottom, cone all the way to the top. And you can sometimes literally feel the air bubbles popping themselves out. And then I'm going to cone down. Water helps. Water. Now the right hand can kind of karate chop this clay down flat, but the left hand is still the boss. If it gets off center at this point, it's because your left hand's not anchored. It's because you're not holding on tight. Okay, I'm going to bring this clay out wide. Trying to keep a flat top. Got my measurement right here. Needs to go slightly wider. So we grab that clay from the center, making our way over, back to center. We measure again. Perfect. Compress with the rib tool is good. And the compressing just realigns all of the clay particles. Sometimes when you throw a flat, wide plate or make like a flat, wide slab, the clay wants to crack. And compressing it helps strengthen it back up. Make my way right to center. And from center back over to 3 o'clock. All right, and I can put a little lip on it. I'm going to add a little water. Right hand is now anchored. Right hand starts at the base of the clay, pushing underneath. And then the right hand is the left hand is right there to kind of glide over. Grip the clay between my fingers. And then I kind of pull the clay out and up. I need a little bit more water. It's getting a little stuck. Thinning the wall and making it taller. I've got my measurement right here. Needs to be wider, which when I put that rib tool on it, that will help. So let's see what that does. I like the softer one, the yellow one, because this one's stiff and this one's softer. So I like the softer one so I can get a curve, and then this curve meets right into that curve. Just be patient with this green one to push. I'm also holding it away from me so the clay spins under it, and then making my way over from center over to meet against this yellow rib on the inside. And hold them both there until it rotates. And I get that interior transition mirrored from the curve of the rib. And then I can check. This is very off. Yeah, it's got to go out wider. This one is too small. There. So I'm going to start by kind of seeing if I can move some of this clay out wider. And we'll do one more pull from the base. And then now I'm letting that inside hand lean that clay out a little wider, compress this lip, and we'll check our measurements one more time. Boom, much better, much better. So wrinkles, just to make sure we have the same curve. Groove in the bottom. Don't like the drop of water. Never leave it wet. Check the measurements one more time. Perfect. So that's number 3. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Molly Sander here. Coming to you live from Molly Sander's Ceramic Studio in Adair Park, Atlanta, Georgia. If you're in Atlanta, we do one-time workshops. We do 4-week classes, hand building, wheel throwing. And then we do our signature 8-week class, which I teach. It's called Clay 101 and Beyond, because it caters to every experience level, and we teach both hand building and wheel throwing. All right, on this one, I'm gonna go ahead. I have my camera set up here. I'm going to do a time-lapse video. And if you're on Instagram, you can find these other shorter videos over there. I post some to my YouTube shorts, so if you're here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. I love to go live. I love to chat clay. The motto here is, who doesn't love clay? Everybody loves clay. If you get the opportunity to work with it, we love it, most likely. Unless you have a tactile issue, those are the only people I meet that don't actually like clay. But 99.9% of the people love clay. It's just having an opportunity and time to get in the studio and create. All right, my left hand's the boss, holding this steady. My right hand's compressing the clay down. I've got my measurement here to check. It needs to be slightly wider. So I'm going to start in the center. You might be able to see it peaks up slightly. And that peak will give me a little bit more clay to pull out. And when I make sets, it's, you know, we're human, it's not machines. So I just figure if I open to the same diameter and then I do the same things every time, it should be a nice set, matching set. But some of them are a little different, can be. But I think overall, this works well. Okay, sponge to sponge, I'm cleaning them out. My right hand is now anchored, my right hand is now the boss. I start at the base of the clay, pressing. That's gonna lift the clay up, but ultimately this inside hand will be there to grab that clay and squeeze between the two sponges. In the base clay, inside hand's gonna glide over, it's gonna come out, up, and over. And then we don't want a sharp lip, so we always hold it and compress. Now this seems too narrow, way too narrow, see that? So we'll do one more pull. We'll guide this clay out, but ultimately, when we put the rib tools, I think that's gonna help open it. So we'll do that, we'll get our ribs. Start in the center, glide over. And then this is the patience, I have to slow the wheel. Letting that green rib transition its curve. And this yellow rib up. And now we'll check. Needs to go slightly wider. So when I do that by taking some of the clay from the inside, starting here, patiently pressing over. That will help stretch the clay out slightly. Press this lip, measure again, and then we'll ultimately use the rib tool one more time to open this. Making sure that this is all flat, if anything, slightly lower there in the center, so that, you know, if you have sauce or something, it will catch in the center, not out here like a moat. And we'll just open that up slightly more. Smooth everything. There we go. All the way to center. Make sure the lip is compressed, and then a little groove at the bottom. This just helps when I do go to wire cut this, I have a groove. Boom, that's number 4. Here's the first one and the 4th one. Okay. Let me stop this time lapse. And we'll do another. I've been working on this dinnerware set for a customer. It's an exciting customer. I'm not going to say who, but they already have dinner plates and mugs, and then they've reached out to see what other dinnerware pieces that I have. And I mean, part of what I got into clay for was because when I learned that I could make a dish for my dish. I love to cook and entertain, and specifically the hot Virginia dip. If you know about the hot Virginia dip, it's like a cream cheese based holiday dip that my family makes every year. When I realized I could make a dip for the hot Virginia dip, I was so excited. And then, I mean, I think I was already falling in love with clay, but that really helped making functional pieces. So I do have my own dinnerware collection that I have wheel thrown all the pieces. So as I'm extending this dinnerware collection, I am thinking of, like, I did make saucers for the first time because I don't really use saucers, but the client had asked about saucers, so I made some saucers. I made some salad plates, some dessert plates. I made some plate bowls. I should have brought them all to show y'all, but this is gonna be like an open form. I actually love, this is my favorite dish that I've made myself. I use it a lot, this and the dinner plate. So first measurement needs to be wider. The right hand can lean and help bring that clay. Now I feel an air bubble, so I'm going to stop, find it, and pop. And these are such tiny holes that I don't have to worry about them really because they will just fill back up. Now that got a little too wide. And we're there, we're going to compress. And just let the clay run under the rib a few rotations, holding steady. And we'll check our measurement one more time. Got a little wide, so we'll just compress it back in. Compress this. Okay, I don't like that I feel an air bubble. So sometimes by poking an air hole release, and as you press over it, it'll just press the air. Ouch. And then you want to compress, compress. Okay, check your measurements. Boom. Now we'll put a lip, a wall. And if you're tuning in, let me see. If you're tuning in, I should be able to see comments, live chat. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Hey, Arzo963. Thanks for tuning in. Pulling this wall, going out and up. Compress this lip. And I already know this looks too narrow. Yeah, way too narrow. So we'll kind of stretch this bottom out a little wider. Stretch this open, and then ultimately I am gonna let the ribs do most of the work here. And then check our measurement again, a little wider. Rotate, rotate. Perfect. Leave everything dry. Make sure this bottom is smooth. And then leave myself a little groove at the bottom for wire cutting. Boom. That's number 5. The client said they wanted 7, a set of 7. So I am throwing about 12, I think, of these. Hopefully, maybe even more. And then that should leave me enough room for error. I don't know if you're familiar with clay or not, but there's a lot in the process where the clay can go wrong. It can crack, it can explode, the glaze can crawl, somebody can bump into it and crack it, or, you know, anything can go wrong. So if you need a set of something, you should always make a few extra. And then best case scenario, the few extra, like in this case, I'm thinking that for this whole dinnerware set, as I'm making all these pieces, I am making some extra, and then I hope I will have some extra pieces to kind of catalog this dinnerware set and use it as like a catalog of options. So you can see this style plate stacked on the dinner plate with the dessert plate right next to it, and the mug, and the saucer, and the mise en place bowls, and the serving dishes, and you can see it also. Hopefully I can do like a photo shoot with the extra pieces also. Or maybe the client will want more than the 7, and then I'm ready to go. Because if I make only 7, and if something cracks or breaks, or if she wants more, then I've got to back to the drawing board. And if she wants, like, if she's getting 7, and I only have 7, and let's say then she wants 10, so then I have to make 3 more, but I'm not gonna make 3 more, I'm gonna make like 10 more, because you get your rhythm, and trying to match a previous set, again, is another like, process. Some water. Pulling this out and up, compress, flatten, widen. Feeling the clay under my fingers. Here I'm feeling how thick the walls are. Compressing the lip. Making sure, if anything, it slightly goes in there. Checking where I am. Let's put the rib on it. Let's see if that gets me the last bit of the way. I will do a little compressing on the surface here. Wipe the slip off. And then here we're patient until that green rib transitions against that interior bottom curve. Patience is a virtue. My left hand is holding it pretty firm and pressing down and out at the same time. And I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see that little band of slip at the base. And I'm going to slow release, wipe that off. But basically right there, do you see that line? Can't really see it, you can kind of see it back here. But we don't like that. We don't like a transition. So we're just patient until the rib compresses. Is there something on here? Switch. Okay, check our measurement. Needs to go wider, which is good because this bottom crease I am not liking that, so I'm gonna press a little firmer. Smooth that transition out, while also opening the wall, the lip. And then we'll just compress here. And then we'll put a sponge on it. Check our measurement again. Nice. And another of my favorite phrases is rotate, 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 slow release. Let the clay rotate under the sponge. Full rotation, 2, 3. And like here, it seems a little lower there and a little higher here, so I'm gonna anchor myself and press harder here. Let it rotate, then I can move, let it rotate. I can move, let it rotate, then I can move, let it rotate, and then I'll ease up, and then I'll come back here, press more. And you just let the clay rotate, 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 slow release. Check my measurement again. Perf. Little groove so I can wire cut later. And you know what I should also do is just get in the habit of cleaning this off. Boom. It's number 6. And I've got my cart right there so I can just pop them there. Now my other trick with a form like this is I don't flip it. I let it dry and I just wire cut it a few times as it's drying. And then as I wire cut it, it allows it to kind of shrink away from the back without sticking and then cracking as it shrinks. So patience with plates is a virtue. Left hand's leaning, my thumb is straight up, and then the right hand's the assistant. It grabs it, latches on. We're gonna cone up by these fingertips squeezing into my left palm. The right fingertips are squeezing all the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. Rotate, 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 slow release. You see this twist, that tells us we should come up and down again because there are some inconsistencies. So I'm squeezing the clay at the base. Let it rotate, let it rotate. Because if you just come up, so you put spirals in it. So you gotta hold it, let it rotate, and then come up. Rotate, and come up. And you're really supporting the clay the whole way. Definitely my left thumb is going straight up, holding it to a cone. And then when I come down, technically I could just push it down with my left hand, but it is nice when you get the right hand on top too to help push that clay down. I'm gonna clean this up one more time because I do feel an air bubble. And by coning up and down, it is like wedging on the wheel, so you get a chance now to work out those inconsistencies. You should always start at the bat, get the clay from the base, squeezing my right fingertips into my left palm. My right hand is attached behind this left hand. See this thumb here is latched over here onto my hand. And then just patience. Patience is a virtue. And I mean, this is satisfying, right? So satisfying. The pottery fill, and then I'll just cone down. My left hand is driving the clay down into the center. Clean out my sponge. And I do like having 2 sponges. And I can add some water. Right hand kind of karate chops. The left hand, even though the right hand's pushing down, the left hand is the boss. If it gets off center at this part, it's your left hand. If you're throwing like I am, which means I'm a righty, my wheel is going counterclockwise, so my left hand is in charge because the way the wheel spins, it kind of cuts into my palm. And then when you pull, it kind of glides through your fingers. All right, so next one, compressing this low and wide. Got my measurement. I think this needs to be much wider. So this is where left hand's still on there, and as this right hand presses down flat across the top, it will kind of smear that clay out a little wider. Hands are always connected. The water helps the clay glide, so if you're feeling like it gets stuck, add more water. Check your measurement again. Could go slightly wider. Holding the sponge with both hands Elbows are against my legs, anchoring themselves. And I'm going from center over to the right, over to 3 o'clock. You're watching, I think everything is counter mirror image. Okay, perfect. And then now I can take my double sponge, and my right hand is now the boss. Now I slow down, and the right hand starts at the bat. And you should see like a black circle if you're using the black bats, because you're getting all the clay at the base. So you get that clay, and then basically what I'm doing is this inside hand is gonna press out, and they're gonna come up together as I squeeze the thickness between them. I'm being mindful of that inside pressure so I don't make like a galley of pressure and like a lower point there. So I'm kind of gliding along even pressure, getting this clay at the base so that then I can squeeze it out and up together. Let's check the second measurement. It needs to go much wider. And that's where you can kind of take this clay, press it out wide along the bottom. Don't want all that water. Kind of feel this thickness in my hands. Inside hands pressing out. They're coming up together. Compressing this lip. And then we'll put the ribs on it. This is part of when I make a set of anything, just kind of picking an interior curve and putting that on everything, and that really helps also keep the consistency and kind of duplication of the same form. Because again, we are humans. I'm not a machine. This is not machine made, it's handmade, so there are some inconsistencies. So to keep them as consistent as possible, picking measurements, picking a rib that you can repeat the same transition. Perfect. Compress through this one off. All right, that's number 7. 2 plus. Oh, just noticing that there's no bucket under my wheel. And so that's making a mess here on the floor. I need to stop and get that cleaned up. Should have checked. Always check if you have a bucket under your wheel. I did not. And there was no bucket. So let me grab one and a sponge. Alright, so I grabbed a bucket of water. This bucket needs to be under here because it is really leaking. So I can wipe this up off the floor. Put this bucket under there. Now it won't leak anymore, and then I can use that water then. I can just use my sponge here. Guys, what a mess. Sorry, you can't even see it. So you don't even know what a mess this really is. It's fine. I'll just wipe up. Squeeze, squeeze. Right out. Okay. Good as new. I looked over and I said, what is happening? Oh, and we're back. Alright, so again, the customer wanted 7. So we've got 7. So all of these are bonus and insurance and extra just in case. And I do kind of see how I give this like a little rolling, because then it makes it consistent. There's no air pockets to get trapped underneath. These are all 3 pounds. I saw a question earlier that was asking, I think they said, man, I cannot throw over 4 pounds. So this is under 4 pounds, this is 3 pounds. But tapping to center before you add any water, just tap, 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 make sure that your clay is centered. That's a big tip I have for throwing bigger. Some people throw it on there and it's off center, And if you're already struggling, don't make it challenging for yourself. Make sure that you dry. Tap your clay into the middle of the wheel. You might have seen on this ball of clay, it kind of shifted and was off center, so give me a run for my money. But I can center 3 pounds of clay. I can center 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think the most I've done is like 50 pounds. So my tip is just take your time every step. Don't rush, don't skip ahead, and that starts with literally just dry tap your clay to the center of your wheel before you add any water. It'll help. And then I'm always telling myself, left hand's the boss, right hand's the assistant. So the assistant's always attached to the boss hand. Being the boss means that I'm anchored in my hip. I'm not using muscle, I'm not pushing. My elbow's here, and then when I lean forward, the whole forearm pushes to here. I'm not gripping with my pinky, don't grip that, don't cut underneath, because you want this nice and vertical. You should see a black circle. See how it's all, clay color slip? You want to see that circle because you're at the base of that clay. And I feel a little bit of clay down. Okay, right hand's karate chopping flat across, pressing it down. This widens the clay. And this is sometimes when the clay might get off center. And if it does, that means that your left hand needs to be engaged more. Your left hand's the reason it's staying centered or getting off center. Check my measurement, go a little wider. Make sure that bucket's catching everything. Really what I could do is take this sponge, soak that there. Okay, press from the center. And this one I feel air bubbles again. We don't like an air bubble. So what I like to do is just take my needle tool and pop, 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 pop. And as I pop and I apply a little pressure, the air kind of slides out the other hole. And these are just so little from this needle tool that they compress right back. Okay. Now my sponge will also compress those back. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Check my measurement. Pretty good. We'll compress the spot on. And I am feeling some kind of inconsistency. And I like to tell my students that clay is a lot like life. If you have an issue now, it's going to come back even worse later if you don't just address it. So right there, see it? It's an air bubble. Compress, compress. Check my measurement one more time. Start at the base of the clay with this right hand that's not anchored, grabbing the base of the clay that shoots the clay upwards. Top left hand connects, this little thumb's connecting. And then it's going to glide over and squeeze this clay out and up. Rotate, 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 slow release, kind of compress this so it's all the same level. We don't want any grooves where sauce can get stuck. Check my measurement. And then we'll put a rib on it, which should help open it up. And I can also take this time to compress one more time. And this is where, can you see? Yeah, see this little band of slip, the circle? That's what I'm being patient to see go away. Once that goes away, I know I've transitioned this curve into that curve. So it's just about being patient. Pressing this green rib out. The yellow rib is supporting from the outside. And then we're so close. Rotate, rotate. Slow release. Let's check our measurement. It's almost a little too wide, so I'm going to compress this lip, bring it back in just a smidge. Bring these sponges out. just feeling out the surface, and then we'll make sure everything's dry. We'll put a little groove for the wire cutter. Groove underneath. Measure one more time. Good to go. Boom. Number 8. And basically I get one of these on, and once I get one, I just swivel until the other one goes on. All right, next bag of clay. Okay, so see if I just slam that, see all those inconsistencies, if I just slam that, or even this side, see that little moment, it will trap an air bubble, and then when I go to flip it to trim, it will have an inconsistency in the bottom. So by doing that, there's no inconsistencies. And then this is where I say before you add any water, just at 3 and 9 o'clock, tap it. Tap it down, and notice my thumb, like my hands are at a cone. That's if you're trying to go bigger. Don't skip that step. See how it's already kind of centered? And then coning up and down is also another game changer for me. This left hand anchors, it's at a cone already. See that? The thumb's there? And everything's flexed. Okay, so your fingers are not gripping. Don't grip your fingers. And then your right fingers start at the bat, and they get this clay at the base, and then this right thumb latches on so that my fingers can literally squeeze into my left palm. And this is where I can literally feel all of the air bubbles and inconsistencies working their way out. So this clay should have all been prepped nicely, but as you see, there are inconsistencies. So we're taking the time to cone it up and down, and the trick with coning is you've got to keep a cone. If it gets to be a flat top, like let's say you cone down and it's pretty much flat, every time you cone up a flat surface, you're going to get a crater, trap an air bubble. Meaning if I just cone this down, and see how now it's flat, I don't have a cone, so if I cone this up, the outside's going to come up higher, and I'll always have a crater. So I'm going to lean on that clay to keep my cone, my thumb's leaning, and then now I can cone it up and down because it's in a cone. But if you're dealing with getting craters at the top of your clay when you cone up, chances are you're coning up a flat top, and you need a cone. Okay, I'm coning this down. My right hand's now open like a karate chop, catching a flat surface across the center. Kind of going forwards and back to kind of compress it flat. If it feels higher in the center, I let it rotate a little bit more under there. Rotate, rotate, check my measurement. Needs to be a little wider. Compress, compress. Compress, compress. Perfect. Put a rib on it to compress. This just realigns all the clay particles, strengthens it back up. And stretching the clay out wide, make it a little bit more able to crack later. So compressing it helps. And then this right hand digs at the base, presses the clay up, and then the inside hand is right there. And I do like a wrung out wet sponge as I'm doing this because then the clay doesn't get dry or sticky on me. Grabbing that clay, pressing out, and then coming up together. Compress this lip, make sure that my transition here is kind of, if anything, sinking lower towards the center. Not around the edge out here. Let's check where we are. It needs to go wider. And as I put this rib to rib on it, it should do just that. Compress. Now if you're having a hard time with the rib tools, it could be your placement. Like notice that this green rib is angled away. The clay literally goes right under it. And if I'm over here and the way the wheel is spinning, it goes right under it. But if I come over here, it's going to get caught. So you have to be mindful of the angle of which you're holding your rib tools, the direction of your wheel spinning, and then patience. rotate, rotate, rotate. Slow release. That one got a little funky on the lip. It needs to be open just a little bit more. So I'm going to compress this lip. I don't know if you can see that little wonky bit. You probably can. Compress it. And then we'll open it just slightly more with these ribs. First I'll put this rib tool here. And then we'll stretch this clay slightly wider. And we slow our wheel, rotate, 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 slow release. 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is 9. Using my pressure to make sure it's flat. Compressing this, but really got a little funky right there. I don't love that. Measurement's nice. I think I'm just gonna go really slow and let the ribs work that out just one more time. Just real slow. Real slow. The yellow rib is the boss. It's really anchored. It's holding steady. And then the green rib is kind of doing the work on the inside. And then later I pinch these anyways. I do a little alteration to the lips, so I think we should. This one is a little funky. Let's check this measurement again. What do I think about this? I kind of want to cut the lip off, but then I lose clay, and then they're not all the same, so I'm not going to do that. This is why you throw extra, in case you get a funky pot like this. I mean, is this still going to be a beautiful bowl plate? Yes. But is it slightly having an issue with the lip? Yes. All right, let me cut it. Let me cut it. And so to cut it, I just hold my clean needle tool in my right hand. And patiently let it rotate. Every rotation, I can press the needle through further. Let it rotate, press it a little further. Now it's all the way through. And then I can lift up, and now she's flat. Let me check where my measurement is now. It should be. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Bring out these sponges. And then we'll just gently. All right. Put a little groove at the bottom. I wooden knife. Usually I wooden knife cut like this and I cut through, but when it's already so shallow, I'm really just more intentionally trying to get a groove so that when I wire cut, it won't come up. Another one. And I think I am gonna go ahead and make 12 of these. I got 2, 4, 6, 8. This will be 10. Again, I'm gonna roll this. Thanks for tuning in. I will probably end this live after this one here. And then the next 2, I'll do some videos for my other social medias to edit them into shorts, even for YouTube. So if you've been watching, thanks for tuning in. If you're already subscribed, awesome. I go live probably most lately, and it just depends on like whatever I'm doing in the studio. I've got a whole playlist of live in the studio. I should maybe curate them down even more. And then I have a whole playlist of instructional videos from when I taught high school ceramics, and I have my online educational platform, Throwing with Molly, which, that's the other playlist I have, are my Throwing with Molly Season 1 and Throwing with Molly Season 2, where I channel my inner Andy Cohen. I get a guest to join me side by side here on the wheel, and we throw pots and we chat. So I've had some really interesting guests. Go back and check out Season 1 and Season 2. Hopefully we'll have a Season 3 launch soon. and even more to come. I don't know if y'all watch, I have so many ideas for pottery shows, because I myself love a reality show. I love clay, and there's not enough clay shows. Also, I believe I can teach anyone clay. I think that's my gift, is like teaching clay to people. So what I love in our 8-week classes that we do here at Molly Sandor Ceramic Studio in Deer Park, Atlanta, Georgia, is our 8-week classes, Clay 101 and beyond. So if you have experience, you're the and beyonder. If you don't, you're the 101er. So we do all levels in one 8-week class. We run on a curriculum, and I get so much joy out of seeing these students come in and they're like, oh, I'm not an artist, I just wanted to take the class, I just thought this would be fun. I'm like, you are an artist, everyone's an artist, it's just if you give yourself time to create or not. And clay is not rocket science. I remember growing up and the artists would make you feel like they are elite because they're artists. It's like, no, everyone's an artist and we all get to create, and you're not better than anyone and they're not less than because they have never done clay, and everyone can learn. I have a beginner student who you would never know by looking at her work, several of my students, because really it's just about learning basic techniques and then allowing yourself time to practice, fail, learn, and try again. And to realize, like, clay humbles you, first of all, and you never reach perfection when you're learning clay. There's always something new to learn, there's always a new failure to make. And our 8-week classes end with a student art show, which is so much fun, because all of these professional adults that came in not considering themselves artists literally have a body of work. They have an artist statement, they invite their friends, their family, we have a red carpet, we celebrate what they have made over the 8 weeks. So I think it'd be fun to do a show where we get to document that journey for a few different students. Each episode would be each student's transformation from that first day to the art show, where they come and they know nothing. And then over each week you see maybe a failure, you see an aha moment, you see new friends being made, you see new explorations of ideas. And then there could be some B-roll of like what they do in their real life. Like, we have so many interesting people who take classes. So to go see what they're doing when they're not in the studio, and then to see their work, so that's so narrow. It is so narrow. What I'm going to try to do now is take clay from the center and press it out to open this wider. So I'm going to anchor my elbows. My sponge is wrung out and clean. See, it's yellow, but it's not too wet, but it is wet, see? It's not like too wet. So I'm going to wring it out, keep a little bit, come to the center, and I'm kind of pressing, trying to move some of this clay, which will ultimately, hopefully, widen this base. And then back to center. And then another show idea would be like to travel to other people's studios. See how they do their work, see how they run their studio. Everybody runs their studios differently. Everybody has different tools and unique processes. Okay, this is the patience. Be patient for that green rib to transfer that smooth rib tool out. And then they come up together, and we measure. Still too narrow. This is why we also make extras. So even though this is number 10, is this going to be one that fits best in the set? Don't know yet. If I'm making a set, I just make them. I don't even think about which ones in the set or which ones are extra until they have all been glazed, fired, and sanded. So even after the bisque, I don't count them. Where they say don't count your chickens before they hatch. I've never had chickens. But that kind of same idea. Okay, rotate, slow release, check our measurement again. It's still a little too narrow, so one more time, trying to move this clay out. compressing. Now see me, I'm going over to 9 o'clock, not 3 o'clock. Be careful if you do that. I do it sometimes. I do it, but sometimes you can catch the clay wrong, so be careful. See this going over. Other way, wrong way. Back to center. Okay, ribs. Rotate. This one seems a little bit more, oh gosh, now it's bigger. So now we can just kind of bring this lip up slightly. And then I'll hover my measurement. Interesting. Rotate, slow release. Now my lip got a little sharp, so we're going to compress that back down. Holding it with my left hand right in front of me. Belly button, 6 o'clock, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it there. See this hand is going to do this outside, inside, hold it right there. And then this finger will touch those fingers and the clay. And if it feels like a wrung out sponge will help so it doesn't get stuck, do that too. And then we'll just let the sponge, make sure that this is clean and continuous. Okay, get my wood knife, cut a groove at the base, and then we'll take this one off. So that's 10 plates, just over an hour. Chatting slows me down a little bit, if I'm gonna be honest, but I like to chat. I like to chat and go live. Maybe we'll do one more, and then we'll end it. One more. And I think I'm gonna also do a video. Let's get this tripod right here. And we'll do this. And then we'll hit start. Okay, dry top to center. If you've been watching, step 1, see this is already looking over, so if I just physically tap it before I add, I can get this as up and centered and into a cone as possible. Now my life is so much easier. Now it still has a little bump, and if you are having a hard time, take your time to fix that. And then this hand, see how I have black circle? Because this hand's on the bat, pressing in from my elbow, through my forearm, into the clay, the palm, right here, the meat pressing in. Then my right hand, fingertips are opposite, grabbing the clay at the base, and again, I'm latching on. It's like this, I'm latching, so I can clamp on, and then my fingertips, my right fingertips are squeezing, all 4 of them. And this thumb, see this thumb here? It's straight up. Don't let it get over there. Don't let it do that. It'll rip it off. I'm going to come down. See all these inconsistencies? We don't like this. All the way to the bottom. Get the black base. There you go. And then we cone up. Cone up and down as many times as it takes until your clay is smooth. Cannot cone up and down too many times, but you can not cone up and down enough. So we are just letting it rotate. The hands are moving up from the bat, up the top of this together. Rotate. See that inconsistency down there? So as we cone down, getting it all the way to the bat, there we go. And then I should probably cone up one more time. So I'm squeezing into this clay, squeezing into it. My right hand's really pulling hard, but my left hand's the steady one. Now it's smooth, so now I can push this down. Right hand's gonna go ahead and press this flat across the top. Karate chopping a flat top across this. Got my measurement. Needs to open slightly. Compress. Measure. And And then we can do our pull. Put our wall on us. Grab the base of the clay. As this hand's pressing at the base, the clay's already starting to come up. And then this inside hand is there to kind of glide and press the clay over. And then up. Together, that got too tall, I think, compared to the others. And then we gotta widen it. Whoop. Just stop it sometimes and catch it. And then we're gonna feel that. And then we'll let the rib make that continuous transition. Bowls are all about that interior continuous curve. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Check our measurement. Perfect. Get all the water out. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing y'all subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next live. Leave any comments if you've got them. Comments, thoughts, questions, concerns. I'll be checking them in. Leave this dry. Clean my bad, and leave a little groove at the bottom. And then I find these 3 dots and just lift. And that's the beauty of these black Molly Sanders ceramic bats. You can just pop it off, pop it back on. And this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So I'm going to do one more. Oh, I forgot I had my... I know I keep saying this is the last one, but... That's mainly because I wanted to do a video. So I was going to stop chatting with y'all and do my video, but... Maybe what I'll do is just wash my hands. Okay, got my towel here. And let me just take a look at these time-lapse videos that we got. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe I'll do a real-time video. Okay, so I'm gonna do this real-time video, and I'm gonna stop talking to y'all because I like the videos to be ASMR, if you will. Let me check y'all's comments because I don't know why it won't just show them. Okay. All right, here we go. Last one. If you're just tuning in, welcome. Go back, watch the beginning. I'm talking you through the process, but here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and hit record here and try to contain myself Instagram or YouTube or TikTok. 6, 8, 10, 12. That's 12. They needed 7. We should be good. But I do really love these. So I'm like, should I do a few more? I think we'll stop there. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all for the next live. If you're in Atlanta, come take a class.